Welcome to another educative episode of your favorite kids show, Kids Arena. Now, you might be wondering why we're out here today, but your guest is just as good as mine.
Today on the show, we have stepped out of our comfort zone. We have been wondering how so much goes on here at Media General, yet we get to see and experience just Kids Arena. So today, we have decided to come out and find out more particularly on how TV3 news reporters get their news and disseminate it to their various mass audience.
Perfect. This will be fun, and we are all up for it. But how do we go through it? Enelam, are we going together?
Okay, so I guess that we'll just go according to our best interests.
Yeah.
I will take up sports, Aurelia, you can take up entertainment,
Yeah, right.
and then Samara, current affairs. Thank you.
Exactly what I thought.
So today I am very excited about today's show because we are going to be finding out how TV3 news reporters get their news, and they are going to be taking us through the process. So I'm looking out for the best. What about you, Anela?
Okay, I think that today is actually going to be a very exciting episode. It's a special episode. We're going to see how the pros do it, and they're also going to take us through where they get their information from, and even how long it may take them to get their information as well. Samara?
I think it will be very educative yet exciting at the same time because we learn how the pros actually get to do things and how each of them feel when they do it.
Of course, that's the whole idea. After it all, we will be back here to share what we have learned and find out how exciting it went. But before we leave, let's take our quote of the day. Today's quote is by Andrews Vax, and I quote, "Journalism is what maintains democracy. It is the force for social change." End of quote.
Wow, that's a very nice quote. So now, guys, on 3, we'll shout as loud as we can.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
This is us! Hello guys, welcome back. I'm going to the newsroom. Come with me. Hi guys, it's my turn, and here with me we have Uncle Crosby that is going to be telling us about current affair news. So let's just get straight into it. So right here is one of TV3's finest news broadcasters. So tell us a little bit about yourself and when you first got into broadcasting.
Well, it's not been too long. I've been doing this there are a lot of seniors ahead of me. I've been doing this for a few years, less than a decade. But, you know, with the ability to learn on the job and, you know, making changes when there's a need to, you're able to fit in all the areas. So, a little bit like that.
So is it every story trending that makes it on the news?
Definitely not. No, there are a lot of trends that are not newsworthy. So for starters, we need to understand what it means that a subject or a topic or a discussion is newsworthy. There are those that are trending on the social media platforms everywhere, but they don't have impact. They don't, you know, change lives. They don't impact on lives either positively or negatively. So then we don't classify them as news. But those that are able to make impact, those that are able to cause change, either in behavior, in attitudes, in response, in the society, those are the areas that we focus on to build the society that we all want to see.
Okay. So can you please tell me more on how you're able to determine that a story is newsworthy and people will be interested in it?
So we need to know that stories that we hear or the news that we see or hear, they have sources. Almost all of them have sources. So one very primary yet, you know, very important is to know the source that the information is coming from, the source that the data is coming from. If the source is credible, if the source is trustworthy, if the source has, you know, some years of experience, some years of credibility, some integrity, then it passes the first stage of being newsworthy. So after that, after you get the information from a source, or if you like, you get it from anonymous sources, then it is up to you, the reporter, to be able to double check, to cross check, to recheck, to make sure that what you're about to put out there or what you want to put out there is exactly the truth. That what you're about to put out there is a correct representation of all the voices that should be heard, all the voices that matter in the story. So after you're able to double check, you cross check, you still do that again. It is important in our line of work that we verify information, because we're feeding the masses. You would not want to, if you like, send wrong information to the public. You would not want to lie to the public or create fake news to the public. You want to be sure what you're saying is accurate from multiple sources, from primary sources, secondary sources, sources that have been verified. Then you do your checks again to confirm again. Then you're able to put it out.
Okay. So when you realize that it's newsworthy and you're able to cross-check it over and over again and you confirm it, what is the next step?
So after that, then it comes to the team. So we don't work in isolation. We're a team. We talk about the ideas. So you come across information, the source is credible enough. You do your checks, you confirm that this is true. You want to put this out there. You don't work alone, you work with a team. We share ideas, we brainstorm, we fine-tune it. We pick angles of the various stories, the ones that we think will make, the most impact, will better the lives of people more, will change society more. If we get those angles and the team deliberates on fine-tuning it, then we're able to write it, edit it, and then we broadcast it.
Okay. So I've always wondered how broadcasters like you are able to go on television and say out the news without stuttering or anything. How is that possible?
Interesting. Well, it comes with a lot of practice. How are you able to sit here and ask me questions without stuttering? How are you doing it?
I'm practicing.
So you practice to get to the level where you are. I'm sure you didn't start like this. So nobody you see on television, no broadcaster you see started talking and they picked it out right. It comes with the years of practice. You fail at points. You'll stutter, you'll make mistakes, but you need to pick yourself up. You need to have mentors, good mentors, train yourself, fine-tune yourself, better yourself such that when you come on air, your personality is good enough and the output is also good enough. So it comes with a lot of skill, a lot of practice to fine-tune the skill. Remember that you can't rely on talent alone. You need a lot of, positive attitude to be able to push the information you want to push out there to carry the weight that you expect it to carry.
So is being a newscaster tough?
Well, every job is tough in a way, you understand. But if your purpose in your mind that you want to do it, then every obstacle is surmountable. If you want to do it, if you desire to do it, you have the passion for it, you develop the right attitude to it, that you're committed to this day in, day out. This is what you want to do. Obstacles will come. There are days you wouldn't feel like doing it. There are days you would feel unwell. There are days life happens. But if that is what you want to do, then you have to do it.
And speaking of that, did you always wanted to be a broadcaster?
For me, I realized that this is something I could do at a very early age. So I was fortunate enough to have people around me that helped me fine-tune it. I was fortunate to have people around me that helped me, groom it, build it up to meet a certain standard. To a certain extent, yes, I wanted to do this. That is why I'm doing this.
So if you had a choice to do anything else, what would you do?
In terms of career, I'd want to do a lot of things related to security. I'm interested in things related to health and, child development. So these are areas I think I have interest in, that if I were not to be doing this, I maybe would consider doing any of those. But again, life happens, you never know.
Anything can happen.
Yes, anything can happen.
So thank you for your time. I am most grateful that I was able to interview you.
Thank you so much, Samara, for having me.
So this is the end of the interview. Thank you so much. Let's go catch up with the others.
Now, I am going to go to the sports room for my interview. Come follow me and let's see how this goes. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Great. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Same.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm doing good.
I see you on TV. You're doing well.
Thank you very much. Same to you as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so now let's start this interview then.
Okay.
So my first question for you is, have you always wanted to become a sports journalist?
No, it came along the way. I had different dreams. At one point, I wanted to be a lawyer.
A lawyer?
Yeah. Another time, I just wanted to do business.
Oh.
Other times, I for some reason wanted to be a man of God. so yeah, it's been a mixed bag of dreams, but journalism just came along the way.
Okay, so then what changed?
At one point, I was an education consultant, and then I developed interest, passion to write sports articles. And obviously because I like football, my interest was in football. So I wrote a few football articles, shipped it out to one of the international websites. It got noticed by the editor, wanted me to do more of it, and I did. And then eventually one media house someone there read my article, invited me for a show. I went there, that was CTFM. I went there for a show. After a couple of months, Viasat One invited me to. And after my first show there was when they wanted to employ me. It was a bit scary because I had never done TV, but...
Is that when you knew that you wanted to become a sports
Yes,
journalist?
it was at that point. I mean, if people are seeing the talent, then I must also invest in it.
Yeah.
So it was at that point I decided, okay, maybe I should do this full time. It took a few months to finally decide on it, but yes, I did. And I haven't looked back since.
Okay. So I love football as well. So then...
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
What's your favorite team?
Premier League,
Yeah.
Manchester United.
And the way you mentioned Premier League means that you have other teams you like?
Yes.
Okay, so like what?
Real Madrid.
Oh, in Spain?
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad choices.
Okay, so... Yeah, so I love football as well.
Great.
So then when you're writing something on a team, or let's say two teams had a match, how do you give an unbiased opinion about the match?
That's an intelligent question. So, especially when your interest is vested in one, it becomes very difficult, but you have to be professional. So I support Chelsea, for example.
Oh, okay.
If Chelsea are playing any other side, I have written for Chelsea, the Chelsea club in itself. I happen to be the only writer from Africa, so it was big at the time. But the most difficult part was that you needed to be neutral.
Yeah.
And you know, from us down here, we do a lot of things with passion. And so if you're not careful, you don't have the undiluted write up. So I needed to make sure that I stay on my toes to make sure that I give, even though I was writing for the Chelsea website, I needed to make sure that I was always doing a professional job. So sometimes I would have to watch the game, other times I would have to read articles around the game. It gives me an inclination of what happened.
So I realized apart from being a sports journalist, you're also a host too for the Monday evening sports show, and for Ghana's Strongest Show as well. So how do you manage that?
Our job demands that when you are put on a certain show on Monday, the description for that is different. Likewise, if you're put on a show on a Thursday, it's different. So for example, in a short while, I'll be going to a studio to read the news. And that's very different from Sports Station Mondays. Monday is a highlight reel that I have to present. So I would have to make sure I put together highlights that people want to watch and present that show.
Yes.
Now that's very different from reading the news. And at the same time, it's very different from Ghana's Strongest, which is an outdoor program. You see, it could be a program that attracts audience, but maybe still in studio. Okay? But this is a complete outdoor. So you are not really a presenter, you are like an MC. And that's a completely different ball game altogether. So you have to know what a job demands and then fit in. So in this case, when I'm doing Ghana's Strongest, I know that I need to have a stronger voice. I know I need to have a better presence.
Yes.
I know that I need to command the area better. When I'm doing sports station, it's me and the cameras, and I just have to speak softly into the cameras. So it's just getting that balance and knowing what is right at our point. Yeah.
Okay. So now, how do you get your sports news? Like, what are the sources? Where did the sources come from?
If I tell you my sources, my competitors will take it to. but yeah, it's not. You can't have one source. You know, as a journalist, not just in sports. Current affairs, entertainment, whatsoever. You cannot have one source.
You mentioned that you sometimes get your sports news from websites that analyze the game.
Yes, but that's different. That is if I have to write too. But on TV, you need to go there with news that is fresh. You know, when I'm writing for Chelsea, it's not always fresh. I'm sometimes doing articles on Michael Essien. He's stopped playing football a long time ago, so it's not really fresh. But if you're doing what I do on TV with the sports news, you always have to go with fresh updates, no?
Yes.
So that comes differently. Okay, you can't go around reading. Sometimes, yes, you would have to read around it because if news has broken in Australia, excuse me, I don't know better than the Australian journalist. So I would have to read from the Australian journalist and maybe rewrite it in a Ghanaian way that appeals to my audience. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm saying you can't have one source is that news breaks from different platforms and different places. So the news can come from Asante Kotoko, for example. My source in Hearts of Oak will not give me that news.
Yeah.
You see, so the sources are different. You need to, and you always have to make sure that your source is credible, it's authentic, and it's when you go with a story, you don't come back saying we are sorry, we're wrong. You know, it's not something you see TV3 do, and so that value has been deposited in every department that goes on television to make sure that you are going there with something that is fresh, compelling, but at the same time true. Because you can't come back taking back your own words. No, it's not done on television.
If there's a transfer market rumor about a player has moved to another club, but then it turns out afterwards that that's wrong, what would you do?
I'm sure my immediate reaction would be to bury my head in my palm and ask myself, how am I going to go around this? But it's not something I'm used to. Every time there is news, as a journalist, not as any reader out there, as a journalist, you have to check, double check, triple check, because that's the only way you stay on top of accurate information. For example, yesterday it happened that CAF has banned Ghana under 17 women's team from playing in the upcoming tournament, and it's because we did age cheating. Some of our players were above 17 years. I can't just run that story without checking from the Ghana Football Association. And so on the news, you'd realize that we spoke to an official member of the GFA, we spoke to a journalist. We needed to make sure that we are covering all angles. But if it so happens that it was wrong and I went to the wrong information, I have to be professional enough to come out and own up that you know this was wrong, and you know viewers should forgive. But you see, that does a lot of damage that you might not be able to come back from. Nobody takes you seriously afterwards.
So might not be trustworthy.
Exactly. So we always have to make sure that we are doing the right thing.
We would like to know the process you go through before you get on the TV to report on sports.
Thing is, if before you prepare a story, you would have to make sure that you know the story. So, for example, a few minutes ago, PSG have sacked their manager, Mauricio Pochettino. Now, you would pick that from very credible sources. So the biggest source for sports news in France, for example, is L'Equipe. We have to go there and make sure the story is running there. Then you know that's a genuine story, so it's not a rumor. The moment you pick that up, now you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do with the news? Do you want to do a proper story with maybe an insert where someone is talking about Pochettino? Do you want to just go with a read-over? A read-over is where the presenter reads over visuals. So that is shorter. Usually when it's breaking news, you go with readovers. So you have to do that. You write it, and then a producer gathers the visuals, okay? And then the visuals will now be prepared for the news. So once you, the presenter, are ready to read the news on air, the visuals will be played. And that's how come you hear my voice on TV, and then the visuals will also be playing beneath it. So now I think I would have to go read the news. So it's time for us to hear some sports news. Maybe you want to take a listen.
Yes,
and see how
I
it's
would
done.
like to.
Great. So let's go. Let's go to the studio.
Okay, so theory has gone ahead, but now let's look at the DIY segment, and afterwards we'll see how he does his news.
Has not reported back to training at Carrington, citing family reasons, which the club have accepted. Ronaldo still has an affinity for the club, but at this stage of his career wants to.
I'm going upstairs to catch an interview with Anita. Come with me, let's check this out. A lot of exciting things have been happening right here on the show, and I hope you enjoyed Anelam's interview with Terry. And it's now time for me to have a chit chat with the ever beautiful Anita Ekufu. Hi Anita.
Hi darling.
Please, I'm Aurelia, one of the hosts for Kids Arena, and please, how are you doing today?
I'm very good, on yourself?
I'm doing great. How can't you be doing great? Because aside all this beauty and, you know. Okay, so.
Thank you so much, my dear.
You're welcome. So today on Kids Arena, I and my colleagues have been finding out what really goes into getting or putting the news out. And for you being the entertainment desk reporter, how do you do that?
Wow. I have a team. I work with a team, so it's not just me. Everything you see on TV, it's myself and a few other people. So I have my producer, we have interns who also help us get the story. So on a regular day, we cover events, everything that's entertainment, lifestyle. We do all of that. And so we work around the clock, make sure we get our stories, put them together, and then I come on TV and read it. I'm sure a lot of people think that because it's just me, it means that I'm the only one doing it. But there are a whole lot of other people from our bosses as well who have to read through our script and make sure that everything we want to put on television, it has to go on.
Okay, so Auntie Anita, tell me, aside being the entertainment host for the News 360 and Midday News, what else do you do here at Media General? Okay,
so we have Lady Circle. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I really watch it Saturdays.
You really watch Lady Circle? Oh, go we. So I'm on Lady Circle with 3 other beautiful ladies. That is Sika, Helen, and then there's Miss Flavor. There's Natalie as well. And so we are the Lady Circle. But I'm on Day Trash with Giovanni and DJ Faculty as well. I do GMB as well with Cookie, and so those are some of the things. And I have another program called Lifestyle in 3, so that is more of giving tips and little DIYs here and there. So those are the things I do.
Oh, okay, then you're doing a great job.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, so growing up as a kid, did you want to do this, work with media, like a media company, or you didn't?
So you know the funny thing, growing up, I wanted to be an English teacher.
Hey!
That's funny, right? Yeah, when I was your age, that's what I wanted to do because I had some amazing English teachers in school and I always used to admire them. So I was like, when I grow up, I want to teach English. I want to be in the classroom and then telling them, what is this? You know, I just admired it so much. But unfortunately, when I told my dad I wanted to be an English teacher, he was like, no way. Yes, you are not doing that. Not to offend teachers out there. I admire the profession, but of course, our parents always have what they want us to become. So my dad wanted me to become like a banker, you know, like go to the bank and then. But I was like, no. So when I was in senior high school, then I realized that I love talking. I can talk and I can stand in front of people and then talk. So then it was a headmaster of mine who told me that, you've been reading news in school, in front of the whole school and all of that. I think you should try and do something related to that. And at that time, I was doing home economics. Do you know home economics?
Yeah.
It has to do with food, there's a bit of clothing and all of that. And I was wondering how I can switch. But then I was told I can do that switch. And so that was how come I switched and went to GIJ, that is the Ghana Institute of Journalism. And today I'm here.
Wow. So when you were talking, you mentioned something like your headmaster told you for you have been reading the news in
Yeah.
front of. So when you were in secondary school,
Yes.
you were doing that.
So, you know, my school, which is Wesley Grammar, we had something called Panorama. So every Thursdays, we select two people. One reads the international news, the other reads the local news. So you come and stand in front of the whole school. So imagine over 500 people. Like, just imagine you alone standing there, everyone is quiet, and then you have to read. So I did it just once. And then that day was a very life-changing one for me because it made me realize a lot of things. So sometimes it takes just one moment or one person telling you something that draws your attention to what you can really do.
Yeah. So at that moment, were you shy or like you were?
I wasn't shy. You know, when I was in school, I used to love entertainment. So I'll come on stage, I'll perform, I'll dance with my friends. I mean, from junior high school to senior high school, I was doing that. So I loved the entertainment aspect of life. But just that, it wasn't something that I really saw myself getting into.
Yeah.
But I mean, life happens.
So were you the entertainment prefect?
I was in junior high school, but senior high school, you know, I didn't have the courage to say that I'm going to contest because, well, I was a day student as well, so I didn't really see myself getting it. But I was always part of anything entertainment in school.
Okay, so please, can you share with us some of your interests while in school?
My interest in school? I didn't like reading. I didn't like reading. My interest, definitely, it will be more of things that lets me move around, that lets me interact with people. So anything that has to do with practical stuff, I used to love it. And I loved the entertainment part of being in school. Being a day student in my school, you were not really allowed to take part of the boarding school, you know, the entertainment nights.
XRC
you
and
know,
stuff,
you were not really allowed because there was a time frame for that. And during that time, the day students, you are supposed to be home. But I was still wear my outfits and come and enjoy. I mean, it was all good. It was all good, I mean.
So you did everything to, like, be part of everything entertaining.
You see, oh, Aurelia, you should trust me. I'll come and then shake body, you know.
Okay, so Auntie Anita, we see your videos, we see your pictures, like you are always consistent. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I would say it's how far I've come. It's been a beautiful journey, and also the support I get from the people who watch me, the people who love me. And so recently, for instance, I was in a senior high school, St. Mary's Girls Senior High School. They invited me over, and then the kind of overwhelming love I received from them. And then I was like, okay, it means people are watching, people take note of what you're doing, people appreciate what you do and the impact you're making. So these are the little things that keeps me going. And of course, the love I get from my family, my friends, my loved ones, it keeps me going. And the journey from day one till now has been worth it, and so it keeps me going. And of course, the brands I work with as well, all of those things, and of course the money as well. See, some money here and there, so it keeps me going.
Okay, so please, can you take us through the process of you getting like your news ready to go on air?
Okay, so I come to work on a normal day. I sit with my producer. His name is Nafti. I sit with him and then some of my interns as well. We look at what's happening on the tabloids, on different websites. We pick the stories that are first interesting, that are time-bound, and stories that people will be interested in, and what's topical, what's like the general talking point for the day. So we look at that and then we pick the stories, we put them together, and then we have to also talk to the main producers who are in the newsroom, and then they will tell us, okay, they check the stories and make sure this one, it can go on air. And also after that, we make sure we put our visuals together. So we have the VTs, which you see me read on air, and then we have the readovers as well. And then after that, sometimes we have interviews live on air as well, or the sit-down interviews that we do and then we record and then we play on air. And so these are some of the things we do. Then we have the video editors who sit down and put the visuals together, what you see on television. And then we have the control room. You come, you get mic'd, they put on your microphone, you talk back, and so whilst you're on air, you're being spoken to. A lot of people don't know that. They talk to us while we're on air. So these are some of the little things that goes on behind the scenes. So it takes a village, if you ask me. It takes an entire village to put all of this together. But it's fun and it's exciting and it's a learning process every single day.
Thank you. Like, I'm so inspired. I don't know what to
Oh.
Okay.
But I'm also proud of you, very proud of you. You are talented kids and now you're doing amazingly well. People do not know the courage and the boldness it takes to be on television and be in front of the camera. I'm so proud of you. I don't know if I can give you a hug. Can I give you a hug? I'm so proud of you. And I mean, watching you talk, I know that there's a big future for TV presenters, and I'm glad that APL and TV3 have gotten the Kids Arena on board, and you and your other co-host, you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
I'm sure when myself, Bella, Cookie, the other ladies, we shift and we're no longer on air, there's a bright future, you know.
Yeah. So, Auntie Anita, please, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you should know I'm like your #1 fan.
Hey, go me. Hey, if Aurelia, Stone Girl is my big fan. I've arrived though, guys.
Okay, so once again, thank you for your time, and I hope my viewers watching are very inspired by your story, being like doing everything that was entertaining. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation because I really did. Up next is the Kids Court segment.
I'd like to do or be in future, I'm still not certain, but I definitely know that along the line I'm going to take up something. And I do believe journalists do try hard and are very good because they try to go out there and take the news that we might find very difficult to get hold of and bring it to us.
I don't know what I want to be in future yet, but then I want to pick up a job in the engineering field. And in my point of view, I think journalists do a great job taking up the risk to go out there and fetch us news that is very useful.
Remember to keep being nice to each other. We will be right back.
Keep smiling. Welcome back.
So guys, I personally had a very awesome time with Anita Ekufu because I got the chance to have a chit chat with her in the studio, and so this particular episode is a very great one.
Yes, I also enjoyed my time with Theory. He taught me the pros and cons of being a sports journalist, and I actually consider being one in the future. So Samara?
With Mr. Cosby has taught me a lot of things, so it's very exciting.
Well, this episode has been super exciting.
Yeah, catch you same time next week right here.
But for now, bye!